Hello everyone. This will be the third video on time and work. We will see how to deal with different types of questions by using the fraction value and ratio methods. For those who haven't watched our first and second part on time and work, I highly recommend you to watch it before we proceed in this video. It will be easy for you to understand the method and how we implement it. In this video, we'll be discussing a particular scenario where replacement of worker is done by other workers or they leave the job in the middle. You will have a clear picture as we proceed in the video. Let's check our first question. 10 men can complete a work in 40 days. They started working, but after a few days 4 men left. If work is completed in 50 days instead of 40 days, find after how many days 4 men left. Let's check our data. We have 40 days and every day 10 men worked. So in 40 days, this should be our value from the fraction table, which means 2.5% of work is done in one day. So 10 men are doing 2.5% of work in one day. One man is contributing 0.25% of work in one day. So for 4 men, it should be 4 into 0.25, which is 1%. For 6 men, it should be 6 into 0.25, which is 1.5% of work in one day. We see that it took them 10 days extra to complete the work. So 10 days, only 6 men would have worked because 4 have already left, and this is the same work that 4 men should have done. So 6 men are doing 1.5% of work in one day. In 10 days, they should be doing 1.5% into 10 days, which means 15% of work. The work that 6 men do, and it was not done by 4 men. See, 1% of work is done by 4 men in one day. In order to complete 15%, they would have taken 15 days, but they didn't work for 15 days out of 40, which means they left after working 25 days. If you see the conventional method, which I won't be discussing because it's too lengthy and it's of no use because you will be using this small tricky method to find your solutions. Again, for those who have doubts, I ask you to watch the first and the second part on time and work. Let's see our second question. A can complete a work in 5 days, working 4 hours a day. B can complete it in 15 days, working 2 hours a day. In how many days A and B can complete it working 3 hours a day? Which means A is working 5 days and 4 hours, which means he is working 12 hours altogether. B is working 15 days into 2 hours, which means total work hours is 30 hours. From our fraction table, we see that value for 20 is 5%, and for 30 it is 3.33%. It means 5% of work is done in 1 hour, 3.33% of work is done in 1 hour. When working together, they will be completing 8.33% of work in 1 hour. In order to do 100% of work, they will be taking 12 days. That's the value from our fraction table. So in 12 days, This is the work done in 1 hour. So, in order to complete 100% of work, they will take 12 hours. We know that they can only work for 3 hours in a day. So, how many days will it take them? 4 days by working 3 hours a day. So, you have your answer. I hope we are clear with the method, and by now you should have remembered all the values which is given in this fraction table. Let's see our third question. A and B can do a work in 30 days. They started working and A left after working 60 days. B completed the work in another 28 days. In how many days B alone will complete the work? Let's see. Suppose this is our whole work and it was to be done in 30 days. A and B worked for 16 days and they were supposed to work for another 14 days. But A left, and instead of working for 14 days, B worked total 28 days, which means B worked for 14 days and then again 40 days, which means that B is doing the work which A didn't do. It means B and A are doing same amount of work in the same time. It also signifies that their efficiency is same, which means the ratio of their efficiency should be 1:1. This tells us that they are doing 2 units of work in 1 day. And it is taking them 30 days to complete the whole work. So our total work should be 30 days into 2, which is 60. We know that their efficiency is same. It is taking them 1 day to complete one part of work. In order to complete 60 part of work, they will take 60 days. But I don't think so that you want to follow this conventional method. By just looking at this data, you can say that it would have taken them 60 days. I'll explain you how. Let's see our competition safari method. It is taking them 30 days, which means 3.33% of work in 1 day. We know that they are equally efficient, which means they are doing 1.66% of work and 1.66% of work. This value corresponds to value for 1/60 from the fraction table, which means B would have taken 60 days. I think you might want to follow this method instead of the conventional method that we just discussed, and how easy it is to get your answers. You remember this, you put your logic, they are equally efficient, and you got your answer in case you have remembered the fraction table. Let's see our fourth question. A and B can do a work in 10 days. B and C can do it in 20 days. A and B started the work, but after 4 days, A left. A is replaced by C. B worked for another 2 days after A left. If C completed the remaining work in 25 days, in how many days C alone will complete the whole work? Let's check our data. A plus B doing the work in 10 days, which means 10% of work in one day, B and C doing the same work in 20 days, which means 5% of work in one day. We know that A and B worked for 4 days, which means they completed 40% of work, and A was replaced by C, which means B and C worked for 2 days, which tells that 10% of work was done by B and C. Together they completed 50% of the work. If C completed the remaining work in 25 days, remaining work is 50%. B completed it in 25 days. C completed it in 25 days. So in order to complete 100% of work, it would have taken 50 days to complete. So C will complete the whole work in 50 days. This was the competition safari method. Let's see how the conventional method would have worked. Plus B plus C, 10, 20, LCM 20, their efficiency 2 and 1. So A and B worked for 4 days and they did 2 units of work in 1 day. So total 8 units of work is done. B and C worked for 2 days and they completed 1 unit of work, which means 2 units. Total 10 units of work is done. Totally we have 20 units, which is our total work. So 10 units is done, 10 units is left. We know that 10 units of work was done in 25 days. So in order to complete total work, which is 20 units, it would have taken 50 days for C to complete it. This is the conventional method, and we discussed our competition safari method. Let's see you in the next video.